Today, we're diving into a jaw-dropping moment in history, the night when President Ibrahim Traoré was almost assassinated. Right at his dinner table, in the comfort of his own home. But here's the twist, he wasn't just relying on his security or bodyguards to stay safe. No, folks, it was his martial arts skills that kept him alive when danger knocked. Let's set the scene. It was supposed to be a quiet evening. After a week filled with back-to-back meetings, endless phone calls, and overseeing a country in turmoil, President Ibrahim just wanted some peace. A chance to relax. To finally eat a meal without the stress of the world weighing on his shoulders. So, he decided to have a simple, solitary dinner in his private dining room. The kind of calm that only comes after a hectic week of trying to steer a country through political chaos. But, as Ibrahim sat down to eat his humble meal, a small table with rice and vegetables, something felt off. He wasn't sure why, but he could sense it. That feeling you get when you know something isn't right, even though nothing seems wrong. Call it gut instinct, call it a sixth sense, but something was off. The room was quiet, calm, the flickering candlelight casting soft shadows, but still, the unease was there, lingering in the air. Then, in walked his assistant, Amadou. Now, Amadou wasn't just any assistant. He was Ibrahim's right-hand man, someone who'd been there from the start of his political career. But even Amadou could tell something wasn't quite right. "Sir," Amadou began with an edge in his voice, "everything's secure, but we need to talk about the situation in the northern districts." Ibrahim, however, wasn't in the mood for a crisis. "Not tonight, Amadou," he replied, his voice steady, "tonight, we're having dinner. Tomorrow, we can tackle the chaos." Amadou hesitated, standing there for a moment, as if weighing whether or not to say more. But then he simply nodded and left, closing the door behind him. And that's when it hit Ibrahim. The room went from quiet to suffocatingly still. The air felt thick, as though something unseen was closing in on him. He reached for his glass of water, his fingers brushing against the cool surface. It should have been a comforting gesture, but instead, it felt wrong. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. And then, as if on cue, everything changed. The sharp sound of a chair scraping across the floor broke the stillness. Ibrahim's instincts kicked in. His body responded before his brain even had time to process what was happening. The door opened, and someone who shouldn't have been there, stepped inside, moving quickly across the polished floor with malicious intent. And just like that, the night turned from calm to chaos in a split second. As the figure moved swiftly across the room, Ibrahim's instincts went into overdrive. If you've ever had that gut feeling, that sudden awareness that something just isn't right, you'll understand what he was going through. In that split second, Ibrahim knew something was about to go down. And trust me, this wasn't your average dinner disturbance. He had only a split second to react, and believe me, it was a good thing he wasn't some beginner when it came to handling tense situations. Ibrahim wasn't just a politician. No, he had more than just political savvy up his sleeve. He had a hidden skill set that would make any action hero jealous. He was trained in martial arts. Yes, you heard that right, our president isn't just a leader, he's got some serious fighting chops. So, here's what happened next. As the figure lunged at him with a knife, Ibrahim didn't hesitate. His years of martial arts training took over. It wasn't like a movie where there's time to think and plan, it was pure instinct. In a flash, Ibrahim knocked the knife away, sending it clattering to the floor. That's when things got real. The would-be assassin, caught completely off guard by Ibrahim's swift defense, stumbled backward. If you've ever seen someone lose their balance mid-fight, you know exactly how it feels to see someone trip up when they weren't prepared. It's almost like time slows down. Ibrahim, though, wasn't about to give this guy a chance to recover. Without wasting a second, Ibrahim closed the distance between them. And I mean closed. We're talking lightning-fast reflexes. He grabbed the assassin by the collar, using his opponent's momentum against him, and slammed him straight into the dining table. It wasn't a gentle nudge, either. The force of the impact sent dishes flying, and the sound of breaking china echoed through the room. Imagine the scene, plates shattering, glass clinking, the shock of the moment hitting like a freight train. But for Ibrahim, he wasn't fazed. His eyes were cold, his focus razor-sharp. This wasn't just about him defending his life, it was about more than that. He was fighting for the future of his country, for everything he had worked for. He wasn't going to let some assassin destroy all of that. No way. Now, you can imagine the assassin wasn't too thrilled with this turn of events. Struggling beneath Ibrahim's unyielding grip, the man tried to break free, but Ibrahim wasn't going anywhere. Ibrahim's hand tightened, pressing harder on the would-be killer. And that's when the tension reached its peak. "Who sent you?" Ibrahim demanded, his voice as steady as a rock. This wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. It was a battle for information. He needed to know who was behind this. Why him? For a moment, the assassin hesitated. His eyes flickered, like he was debating whether or not to reveal the truth. And then, with a laugh that sent a chill through Ibrahim's spine, he spat, "You're dead either way. We'll never stop." Well, that was all Ibrahim needed to hear. His grip tightened even more. He wasn't the one who was going down. But just as he was about to apply even more pressure, something happened. Footsteps. A group of guards, rushing in, stormed the room, and suddenly the assassin was pulled away from Ibrahim's grasp. The tension in the air didn't dissipate immediately, though. No, it lingered like a thick fog, full of unanswered questions. One of the guards stepped forward, concern evident on his face. "Sir, are you all right?" Ibrahim wiped his hands, straightened his suit like it was just another day at the office, and answered, "I'm fine. Get him to interrogation and seal the building. No one goes in or out." And that, folks, was just the beginning. The assassin's words, "We'll never stop," stuck with Ibrahim, hanging over him like a dark cloud. Ibrahim knew this attack wasn't random. There was something far bigger at play here. Someone wanted him dead, and the worst part. The assassin's words hinted at a much deeper conspiracy. Hours after the attack, Ibrahim sat alone in his office, the dim light of the desk lamp casting long shadows on the walls. The adrenaline from the earlier confrontation had worn off, leaving him with a quiet storm of thoughts swirling in his mind. He was still processing everything, the attack, the cryptic words from the assassin, and the chilling realization that this wasn't a random act of violence. No, this was the beginning of something much darker. Ibrahim's fingers drummed on the edge of the desk, the sound filling the room in the otherwise quiet space. He had survived the night, but he knew he couldn't relax. The attack was just a warning, a message that there were forces at work, unseen and powerful, that would stop at nothing to take him down. His mind raced as he reviewed the information Amadou had handed him earlier, the list of names. These names weren't just bureaucrats or businessmen, they were key players in a covert operation designed to destabilize everything Ibrahim had worked for. Ministers, generals, and influential business moguls, all connected to an underground network. And now, Ibrahim had to figure out who was behind it all. As he sifted through the documents, Ibrahim's thoughts turned to the assassin. Whoever sent him was organized, well-funded, and deeply entrenched within the fabric of his own government. This wasn't just about Ibrahim's life, it was about control. Control over Burkina Faso's future, its resources, and its people. Just as he was about to dive deeper into the files, Amadou returned, his face grim and set with purpose. Ibrahim didn't look up immediately, his eyes still fixed on the documents before him. He already knew what was coming. "Sir," Amadou said, his voice cutting through the silence. "We've got something else. The assassin's communications have been traced. He's linked to something bigger. The network isn't just local, it's international." Ibrahim froze. International? That wasn't just a simple political scheme, it was something far more dangerous. He looked up at Amadou, his expression hardening. "Explain." Amadou handed him another file, this one thicker and sealed. Ibrahim opened it without hesitation, his fingers flipping through the pages. The names inside were familiar, but what struck him was the scope of the operation. Foreign governments, multinational companies, and shadowy figures who had been pulling the strings from the shadows for years. "This syndicate," Ibrahim muttered, the weight of the words sinking in. "They've been operating within our borders, manipulating the system, controlling everything. And I've been in their way." Amadou nodded, his face pale. "They've infiltrated every level of government. And they've been grooming someone close to you for this very moment. The realization hit Ibrahim like a thunderclap. Someone close to him. His mind raced as he thought back to his trusted allies, the people he had relied on since the beginning of his political career. Who could it be? Who had betrayed him? The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fall into place. Ibrahim stood up, his mind sharp and focused. We need to dig deeper into these names. Find out everything about these individuals, who they're connected to, who's backing them. No stone left unturned. Amadou nodded and left, but Ibrahim didn't return to his desk. Instead, he stood by the window, staring out at the quiet streets of the capital. The weight of the situation pressed down on him, but he couldn't let it break him. He had always known that leadership wasn't just about speeches and policies, it was about making tough decisions, even when it meant facing betrayal from those closest to you. The following days were filled with a sense of urgency. Ibrahim's team worked tirelessly to track down every last connection to the syndicate, while he prepared for the final confrontation. He knew that this battle was far from over, but he also knew that he wasn't alone. He had his loyal allies, his military leaders, and his people behind him. The day of the final confrontation arrived, and Ibrahim stood at the forefront of a decisive battle. It wasn't just about fighting for his own survival, it was about fighting for the future of Burkina Faso. The fate of the country rested on his shoulders, and he was determined to protect it at all costs. As the final pieces of the conspiracy fell into place, Ibrahim and his team launched a full-scale operation to dismantle the syndicate. They worked quickly, using every resource at their disposal to track down the remaining leaders and bring them to justice. In the end, Ibrahim's determination paid off. The syndicate was exposed, its leaders arrested, and the country's future secured. Ibrahim's leadership had been tested, and he had come through stronger than ever. But as he stood victorious, he knew that this was just the beginning. The battle for Burkina Faso's future had only just started, and there would be more challenges ahead. But Ibrahim was ready. He wasn't just a president, he was a leader who had fought for his country's soul, and he would never back down. And that's the story of President Ibrahim Traoré, a man who faced an assassination attempt and turned the tables on his enemies. But his battle didn't stop there. He exposed a vast conspiracy, uncovered betrayal within his ranks, and fought for the future of Burkina Faso. This story isn't just about survival, it's about resilience, leadership, and the unwavering will to protect everything you hold dear. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this story gripping, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more episodes. Remember, sometimes the deepest betrayal comes from those we trust the most. Until next time, stay safe and keep fighting for what's right.